Hello, I'm Chuck Grainger. I'm a consumer and bankruptcy lawyer in Montgomery, Alabama, with offices in Troy and Prattville as well. The purpose of this video is to make you aware of what predatory high interest rate loans are, how they work, and how that may affect you. There are a lot of these loan companies around the Montgomery area. I know I at one point counted up over 60 of them that I could just find on a Google search on the internet. And they have a lot of things in common. There are different types of predatory loans, and we're going to discuss that. But first of all, I want to share with you what they all have in common. One thing they have in common is they catch people at a moment of weakness. A lot of times that's a situation where there's an unexpected expense that you're facing. Maybe things are tight and you know you need to get Christmas presents for your children. Sometimes somebody's aunt dies and doesn't have insurance and the family has to chip in and pay for the funeral. It may be a relative that's having to make bond due to some sort of criminal charge or something. But it always involves some sort of thing that people just didn't expect to come along. And it's not part of their normal expenses. For some people it could be you just need tires for your car. You're making your car payment, you're okay on that, but the tires are going to cost you $800 and you just don't have that in the bank and you got to have them right away. So that sort of thing is one of the common denominators of a predatory loan. Another factor in predatory loans is they always charge a very high interest rate. And a lot of people don't get educated about how finance works when they're in school. They don't teach that in the public schools. And high interest rates just sound like a number. And numbers don't really affect people in terms of how they see things. But the high interest rate is designed, and the amount of the payment is designed to keep you hooked, so that you're not able to pay it off within a reasonable period of time once the emergency is passed. And so that's by its very design set up to keep you on the hook with that predatory loan company. Eventually, then something else comes along and you need another one. And then you find yourself in a situation where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. Why do people use predatory loans? Well, for one thing, people are afraid to get turned down. It seems like banks and credit unions only want to loan you money when you don't need it. And so people have a need for access to cash at times when they need cash, and a bank or a credit union may not be open to providing that loan. Another reason that people use it is, as I said earlier, something unexpected comes along. And more than anything, they're easy to get. All these companies are all over the place and they're advertising, hey, we want to give you money, we want to loan you money, and that's very appealing to people who have a need. There are a number of different types of predatory loan companies. I'm going to tell you about some of those that I see in our law practice. I'm going to tell you about, first of all, the difference between a title loan and a title pawn. When you pawn something, you have to renew the entire debt every single month. Now, the bad part is you don't own it. They own it. Whatever the collateral is, whether it's a car title or whether it's your jewelry that you've pawned at a pawn shop, and you have so much time to pay that off. And sometimes they'll let you renew that. I know mostly the title loan companies do, and that's their way of keeping you on the hook. And you have to pay that high interest rate every single month. A title pawn is much more difficult to get out of than a title loan. A title loan can be addressed as a debt in a bankruptcy case, for example, but a title pawn, the creditor is still able to repossess the vehicle, and that makes them more dangerous. Similar situation that I'm seeing now in the Montgomery area is where people are going out to buy a car and they either get a high interest rate loan for it, or they may get a rent-to-own arrangement. And again, a rent-to-own means you don't own it, somebody else does. You're just paying for the right to use it for a limited period of time. In a title pawn or a rent-to-own, they're not able to keep stacking up that interest and eventually sue you in court for a large sum of money. Their remedy, really, if you don't pay them, is simply to repo the car. And they do that. For the most part, for a lot of people, if you get a title pawn, you might as well just give them the keys, because most people aren't going to be able to sustain that and be able to come from behind and get that taken care of. We've had some good luck helping people with title pawns, but still, it's a very dangerous way of getting money. The other predators are much better to deal with than a title pawn. Now, a title loan is different. A title loan means that you're going to pay them back over a set period of time with an interest rate. Examples that I've seen, One Main Financial does a number of those. And that's a straight up loan. You still own the car, but they're holding the title, and you make payments on that car until it's paid off, and then they give you back the title, just like any other car loan. But don't think that when you get a title loan or a title pawn that the car is paid off, because it's not. As soon as you let go of that title, you don't own that car anymore, they do. And you're just either buying the car back from them or you're renting it from them for a period of time. Those are dangerous types of predatory loans. But again, high interest rate, catch people at a moment of weakness, keep you hooked. Those are the three qualities that make them predators. There are also small loan companies that are predators. And some of them will send you a check in the mail. And you might think, well, I got a check. That's what I've been looking for. I needed this. I need to buy Christmas presents, or I need to pay the light bill, or whatever it is. But that keeps you hooked too. That draw, though, leads you to come into their loan store. And once you come in there to renew the loan, then they get you to put up 3 TVs for collateral, maybe some tools you have, a weed eater, a lawnmower, a generator, or a storage building. They get you to put these things up for collateral. Now, most of these small loan companies that use collateral on the loan are using that just to intimidate people. I know in a bankruptcy case, we can get rid of most of those liens, but not all of them. For example, we can get rid of a lien on 1 TV, but they get you to put up 3 of them. Another common quality is that they'll fill out the paperwork, they'll put the values of the collateral on the documents, and then later on their lawyer will act like, well, you're the one that told them this is how much it's worth. So you got to be really careful. There's a lot of fraud that goes on in that area. They also will get you to pay for insurance, and they're basing how much the insurance costs on the value of the property, and they're the ones inflating the value of the property. So that might or might not be a form of insurance fraud. You've got to be careful with these small loan companies, particularly the ones that send you a check in the mail, because that too is a trap. There are also small loan companies that don't have any collateral, and they're just going to harass you until they sue you. And I'm going to talk to you later on in a separate video about what happens when you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then Peter wants his money. What's Peter going to do? You need to know before it happens to you. There's a type of small predatory loan that's done over the internet. These internet loans sometimes appear to be some sort of club, a loan club of some sort that you can join, and you borrow money, but they have very high interest rates, and they're very aggressive at suing people to collect on their debts. Payday loans is something that's not as popular as it used to be. A payday loan is where you give them a check and they hold that check as collateral for your loan. Usually the check is for $587.50. It's a $500 loan. It's $87.50 in interest each month. And you go in, you renew it, or you pay it off. And so those have been a trap for people. The Alabama legislature made that more difficult. I still see payday loans, but I don't see as many of them as I used to. High interest rate car loans, rent to own, those are things to watch out for. Now, one thing that's inevitable about predatory loans, it is inevitable that you will get to a point where you have to choose between your light bill and your living expenses. A lot of elderly people have to choose between their medicine and paying those loans. And it's very serious, and it's a serious problem in our society. And I'm thankful that I'm able to do something to help people in that situation. But you need to take it seriously. And you will get to that point, even if you're not to that point at this time you're watching this video. When it does, and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and Peter wants his money, you need to find out what Peter's going to do to get his money before it happens to you. I'm Chuck Grainger with Grainger Legal Services. We're a firm in Montgomery, Troy, and Prattville, and we help people like you get out of the hole.